McDonald's, the brand that sells the most mid-food possible. No one can take that title away from them. The McDonald's company though, they charge rent. Let's take a look at their business. I'll start with their financials, what they actually do, and some key factors that could affect their future. As of 2023, they have 41,800 restaurants all over the world. They are just above Subway at number 2 with 37,000. The revenues were on the decline, but let's look at the 2020 annual report to see if we can figure out the reason why that happened. As you can see, the revenue from the company operated category has decreased from 2016 till 2020. But just because something has gone down doesn't mean it's terrible. Because the thing is, when you're dealing with company-owned restaurants, you have to deal with stuff like food, wages, insurance, and all that fun stuff. So I did some mental computations, I put 2 and 2 together and came to the conclusion that you get 5. No, I just looked and saw that the revenue from the company owned is not comparable to the revenue for the franchisees after you subtract all the expenses. If you want to see just how big the gap is, well, let's take a look. Looking at the income statement, you can see the difference between the company owned and franchisees costs. Look, 9.7 billion in revenues, but 8.2 billion in expenses, compared to 15.4 billion in revenues for franchisees and 2.5 billion in expenses. Although all the expenses I mentioned for the company owned is also paid as well, it's just paid by the franchisees. It's kind of like gold, and no, I'm not talking about gold, feds, silver. I mean 1 kilogram of 24 karat gold is the same thing as 6 kilograms of 4 karat gold. The total profit is similar, it's just the franchisees is slightly less, but a lot more refined. And that is taken through all their fees, which yes, I will be getting into all those. And by the way, 95% of McDonald's restaurants are franchised out. Because look, managing a few, cool. Managing every single restaurant in the world, that's a lot. Net income in proportion to revenue is very high because they have the refined bit and they're refining it even more. They've had some good growth over the years, and if we're asking what happened in 2020, well, come on, use your head. There's a certain massive event and they are technically a restaurant. Some people use that word, I personally wouldn't, and let's have a quick conversation about this. I have a problem with calling them restaurants. Like, no, you are not a restaurant. If you hit the following, you can get a food and drink combo for under $20, you have over 10 locations, and you're in more than 1 country, you do not qualify as a restaurant. And if you franchise, you are 100,000,000% not a restaurant. Hey, Oxford Dictionary, can you please switch up the definition of restaurant? Please, I'm asking nicely. Alright, let's get into the nitty-gritty of franchising. First of all, they still have to pay for all the expenses that are involved with running a restaurant. Wages, food from their McDonald's supplier that they already hooked them up with, and also insurance and all that. It also includes a license fee of $45,000 that lasts over 20 years, a royalty of 45% of sales, and rent, which is very variable. The minimum down payment is over $700,000, and that's only 25% of which you have to pay. And by the way, that $700K, that cannot be from debt or any other, it has to come from your assets personally. The other 75%, that can be financed, but the 25% you have to have $700,000 for the assets. So that's pricey, but that is how McDonald's makes their money. Rent and all those fees I mentioned earlier. They opened up 2.1 thousand restaurants this year and closed down 500 of those. Last year in 2022, they opened 1.6 thousand restaurants, but closed 1.3 thousand restaurants. And if you're asking what happened to why is it so high? Well, the reason why is because a little thing called Russia, the little invasion war, boom, boom, shoot, shoot. They closed down 900 of those because of that. Their goal is to have 50,000 restaurants by the end of 2027. The mix of revenue geographically has generally remained pretty stable, which, surprise, surprise, big companies are stable. 41% is in the US, while 59% is international. Reading through this, I found something that was pretty funny. And look, I'm just gonna read it straight from the annual report because it's hilarious. Get this. They have to maintain the company's high standards and specifications. I get the specifications part, but high standards, like, come on. We all know what McDonald's is. McDonald's strategy for growing over the next few years is named Accelerating the Arches Growth Strategy, which is by far the most corporate sentence I've ever heard. They're gonna focus on marketing, trying to give everyone the feel-good vibe, and focusing on their low prices. They're also gonna focus on their core products. For example, making burgers better by 2026. Honing in on their already iconic foods. Hopefully they make them actually taste good, but also cheap. But at the same time, I don't want some restaurant quality burger, because we all know what McDonald's is. It's just something quick, cheap, and tastes fine. They're relatively resilient to economic troubles, because look, everyone still has to eat 3 meals a day. When hard times fall upon people, well, what? They just eat at cheaper places. The restaurants, McDonald's. But they will never be as cheap as a grocery store, which is healthier and tastier. Now let's compare their stock returns. RBI is Restaurant Brands International. They own Tim Hortons, which is big up here in the north. They also have Popeyes and Burger King. Yum owns KFC, Taco Bell, and Pizza Hut. And while McDonald's has a lot of competition, we can see that they're still number one. No matter how mid they taste, their stock has grown considerably over the years, only recently getting surpassed by the S&P 500 index. The total return, including dividends, is McDonald's at 187, RBI at 89, Yum at 135, and the S&P 500 at 183. McDonald's has a PE ratio of 25 compared to RBI at 17, which does show that investors have a lot more confidence in McDonald's to grow. Although personally, I do feel as if RBI's actual restaurants or fast food spots are just better tasting. Yum is at 25, and these numbers are all subject to change. These change all the time, so just be aware of that. Their CEO, Chris, I'm not even trying to pronounce that last name, was paid $20, $18, and $19 million from 2021 till 2023. A lot of money while his employees are paid almost nothing. It's kind of messed up. You know how I mentioned they franchise out 95%? Well, that comes with a lot of benefits, for example, not having to deal with stuff like the day-to-day operations, but that does open them up to some risks if franchisees were to get, a little ticked off. They aren't viewed as healthy food. Internationally, they're viewed as American trash, and domestically, they're viewed as the standard of unhealthiness. It doesn't even taste good. Like, if it tasted good, maybe there could be something to say, but they don't even taste that good. That's the thing. In their favor, everyone all over the world already knows exactly who they are. They know what they offer, they know what they taste like, so that's one thing that's in their favor, and they move into places very quickly. I know I highlighted some risks with the franchise model, but it has performed very well. McDonald's is one of the first spots I noticed to have those kiosk ordering screens. As tech becomes more and more advanced, they're definitely going to start automating maybe burger production and more stuff as time goes on. Fries. This deserves its own separate category. Absolutely delicious. Oh yeah, my bad. I'm filming something. Sorry, I'm move on. Look, like a McDonald's Big Mac, you know exactly what you're getting. Business-wise, they're doing the same thing. They're just adding more stores. Because, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The environment around them is changing with regards to health and just taste. Because people want healthier and also just better tasting food. So while McDonald's used to be a fish in water, are they now a fish out of water, or will they become the fish out of water soon? Well, we'll see. If you want actual investment advice, believe me, I'm not your guy. Talk to a professional like the SEC. That's a rundown of McDonald's. Like, sub, please. Thank you. Bye-bye.